Right sons, it's Wild Josh, and I have been thinking about this theory for some time now, so I thought it was time that I break it out and share it with the world. Now, let's get into it. Let me start off by prefacing that I myself am not 100% sold on the theory, but I feel like it explains why things are being done certain ways with the character of Luke Skywalker since Disney bought Star Wars. Let's start by looking at the character of Luke Skywalker from a Legends perspective. In the comic series Star Wars Dark Empire, which took place 6 years after the Battle of Endor and was considered canon up until Disney's purchase of Star Wars, in this comic run, Luke Skywalker has grown powerful and honed his skills as a Jedi, but he starts to feel the tug of the dark side of the Force calling out to him. Fearing that this pull could start to draw his sister and other allies away, Luke decides to investigate it. In a shocking reveal, Luke finds himself face to face with none other than Emperor Palpatine himself, who through clandestine methods had transferred his body into a secretly waiting clone body at the time of his death. He did this through the use of the dark side of the Force. Palpatine then offers Luke a place at his side, and through Luke's hubris, he takes it, thinking that he is strong enough to experience the dark side of the Force without spiraling down its destructive path. His plan is that by accepting and getting close to Palpatine, he would be able to kill him once and for all. That plan kinda falls apart, and Luke ends up being Palpatine's new apprentice. Through his fall to the dark side, Luke did experience a new level of power, which honestly looked like something he tapped into in Return of the Jedi to defeat his father, Darth Vader. Luke is eventually able to snap out of the lore of the dark side through his sister, Leia, who had trained to become a Jedi. Interestingly enough, though, it is revealed that Luke was just a pawn in Palpatine's plan all along because he was really after Leia's unborn child who was powerful, apparently even as an embryo. You can't make this stuff up. So in Star Wars Legends, which is beloved by so many fans, Luke actually turns to the dark side, albeit only for a short period of time, and then comes back to the light. And Palpatine was cloned and was after Leia and Han's child all along. Now, let's snap back to Star Wars canon. It matches up surprisingly close. Palpatine cloned himself, and he drew Ben Solo to the dark side. But what about Luke's role? At the start, I said that I was thinking about this theory for a while, but it was really only recently that the puzzle pieces all sort of fit together for me. After the original trilogy, we didn't see Luke on screen until 30 years after the Battle of Endor in the sequel trilogy, where he is a grumpy old hermit living on Ahch-To. Recently, though, The Mandalorian reintroduced him in the finale of the second season, where we got our hallway scene with Luke being the Luke we all hoped and dreamed for. In that chapter, Luke takes Grogu to train him as a Jedi, and we all think, yay, he's in the safest place he can be. Then, in Chapter 6 of Star Wars The Book of Boba Fett, we see him again, this time training Grogu to unlock the Force techniques that he had learned before the Jedi Temple on Coruscant was sacked. Many fans have pointed out online that a lot of what Luke was saying to Grogu during his training was complete and utter rubbish. At the conclusion of that chapter, Luke gives Little Bright Eyes a choice. He can either take Yoda's old lightsaber and become a Jedi, or he can take a different path. Take the chainmail Beskar and return to Din Djarin. Chapter 7 is pivotal. We find out that Grogu chooses the chainmail. And maybe for some that made you happy to see him reunite with his papa. But for me, I was angry with Luke. Not necessarily for giving him the opportunity to choose his own destiny, but rather for making him have to choose one or the other. And then, when Grogu chooses the path that Luke doesn't agree with, he tosses him aside like yesterday's newspaper. I mean, Luke didn't even have the decency to fly Grogu back to Tatooine himself. He had R2-D2 do it for him. Okay, now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, and why I say Luke is evil. Luke has been influenced by Palpatine from the start. Palpatine was playing a very, very long game, and everything was all a part of his plan. In my opinion, the manipulation begins in Empire Strikes Back. Palpatine got Luke to quit his Jedi training on Dagobah and go to rescue Han and Leia. His training is never completed, which made him very vulnerable to the dark side of the Force. Then, when Han is in Carbonite, he influences Luke to break him out. Why? Palpatine's long game had Han and Leia's offspring involved. They had to get together for it to work. Luke also needed to redeem his father, and then lose him, which would soften up his psyche. And then Palpatine dies, or so Luke thinks, which would give him a false sense of security and allow him to let his guard down, thinking the Sith are gone forever. The events of The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett show his connection to that moment he is seduced by Palpatine and defeats his father. He still wears the black robes that look so eerily familiar to what a Sith would wear. Also, Luke's training was never completed, which is evident by the confusing lingo and the absolute that he presents to Grogu, chainmail or lightsaber. His callousness plays out by the way he treats Grogu after the choice he makes. Then, years later, Ben Solo is born, Palpatine's prize all along, and all he needs is a spark, which Luke provides him when he raises his lightsaber to strike down his sleeping nephew. As soon as that happens, Palpatine releases Luke from his control, and he now switches his focus to Ben. Luke is now a used piece of chewing gum. Decades of manipulation and control by the dark side have left him a spent shell of himself with no will to fight, and in time he retreats to Ahch-To. I would even like to postulate that had Grogu stayed with Luke, he may have been strong enough to get Luke to see the truth and turn back from Palpatine's control, which would have stopped Ben Solo from turning as well, and changed the events of Star Wars forever. So there you have it. Luke is evil. In Star Wars Legends, he turned to the dark side, and I believe that in canon he did as well, just unknowingly. What does that mean for the future of Star Wars? Well, that's a theory for another day. Hey, I just wanted to thank you for listening to my theory on Luke. If you stuck around to the end, I really appreciate it. I love Star Wars and I love making Star Wars videos, so if you hit the like and subscribe button, you would be helping me do what I love, and that would mean the world to me. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.